A lawyer's report.
This video was created with the aim of informing people around the world about discrimination against people with mental disabilities and human rights violations in Japan, based on tragic incidents that have actually occurred in some psychiatric hospitals in Japan in recent years. The creator of the video is a Japanese lawyer who was directly involved in these incidents. For many of you watching this video, the events that occurred in psychiatric hospitals in a small island country in the East might not seem close to home. However, for those of you who believe in the universal principle of defending basic human rights, we believe this video will be of great interest to you. Japan. A beautiful country. In February 2021, an incident occurred at Nanao Hospital, a psychiatric hospital located in Tokyo, the capital of Japan, where new COVID-19 patients were confined in a room that was only furnished with futons, a type of Japanese bedding, laid on the floor. The room lacked a nurse call system and only had one portable toilet in the center. 6 patients were locked in from the outside and held captive for at least 10 days. Of course, the patients were left unattended without access to even a shower or toothbrushing facilities. Inside the room, a hellish situation continued where patients knocked on the door and yelled out phrases like "Please give us water" and "The toilet is overflowing." This terrible incident was reported in Japan, and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, the supervisory agency, began an investigation. However, despite having grasped the reality of the situation, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government has not made the incident public, sought victim relief from Nanao Hospital, or clarified responsibility for the incident, leaving the matter vague until today. The Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, which oversees the entire country, has similarly continued its silence. Amid the continued vagueness and negligence around the accountability of the Nanao Hospital incident, on February 15, 2023, a police investigation was conducted at Takayama Hospital, located in Hokioji City, Tokyo, due to allegations of assault on inpatient by multiple hospital staff. Multiple staff members were arrested and charged. This was the result of a lawyer who had been conducting an investigation based on contacts from victims and whistleblowers identifying the perpetrators and filing a criminal complaint with the jurisdictional police station. The severity of the abuse by the perpetrators was extremely intense, strongly suggesting that this was not an isolated incident, but rather a possibility that similar abuses had been systematically conducted at Takayama Hospital for decades. Naturally, given the scale and nature of these abuses, it was almost clear that the hospital administrators were aware of the incidents and had left them unaddressed. The details of this incident became a significant social issue in Japan, with the public broadcaster NHK reporting on it in a program titled ETV Special Report, Death Discharges. The title was given due to the abnormally high death discharge rate of about 80% at Takayama Hospital. The average death discharge rate in psychiatric hospitals is about 3%. Once you are admitted to Takayama Hospital, it means that only 1 out of 5 people can come out alive. Although they avoided mentioning the hospital by name, both the Minister of Health, Labor and Welfare and the Governor of Tokyo issued statements instructing a thorough investigation and strict action if any wrongdoing was found. The reporting continued daily for about a month from various news outlets. Despite this, nothing has changed to this day. An improvement order was issued from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government to Takayama Hospital. However, the hospital, who could be considered a main offender, submitted an improvement plan centered on initiatives such as making it easier for hospital staff to report abuse, and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government approved this. Of course, the hospital administrators were never held accountable for anything. It feels as if we are witnessing a nightmare.
I am lawyer Aihara. Until that day, I thought I was just an ordinary lawyer. However, in reality, I was an uncommon fool. He was the 5th person I went to visit after receiving pleas for help from patients hospitalized at Takayama Hospital. Most of the communication came through whistleblowers inside the hospital. Japan has a whistleblower system, but when it comes to abuse occurring within psychiatric hospitals, it's 100% non-functional. Even if you report to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government's hotline, they inform the hospital in advance about the report and only conduct an investigation after giving about a week to 10 days of grace. It would be laughable to find abuse under such circumstances. If anything, it would be more appreciated if they suppressed the reports altogether. That way, there is no risk of a witch hunt in the hospital to find out who made the report. As a result, reports ended up coming to me, a mere civilian. I had a fairly good understanding of the dire situation inside Takayama Hospital, but in Japan, neither the supervisory agencies nor the police take action unless a large amount of conclusive evidence is gathered. So, I was gathering evidence while rescuing each patient who had reported the situation. In the meantime, even Takayama Hospital seemed unable to easily harm patients once a lawyer got involved, and all my patients were safe. Therefore, I believe that although the urgency was high for him, the risk of direct harm was quite low. In short, I, the fool, was careless.
泣くなよ。いい年こいてよ。何考えてんの？お前この間一晩騒いだろ。今日だってお前夜中泣いてみろ。明日の飯食わさねえから。分かったな。分かったな。泣くなしょうもねえことで。なんで弁護士が来たんだよ。だから何つったのさっき。またなんで同じこと言ってんだよ。なんてどうせ喧嘩しやがって。
3 weeks after our initial meeting, while I was looking for a safe residence for him who required dialysis, I received a fax from the lawyer representing Takayama Hospital. The fax read, "As you may know, your client passed away 2 days ago. He died?" My mind went completely blank. I can't remember whether it was just a few seconds or more than 10 minutes. However, the next thing that came to my mind was, I have to get his body autopsied. It's all over if he's cremated. But the human mind is a strange thing. Probably, many people couldn't guess what I thought next. The next thing I thought was to put a brake on myself. Don't do anything, let's stop. It's pointless. Somehow I feel like it will complicate the problem. Phew, let's calm down. These voices echoed one after another in my head. Unbelievable as it may seem, in fact, I even once brewed a coffee and tried to open documents for a completely different job. Fortunately or unfortunately, I had a bit of knowledge in psychology. Perhaps it's what's called a normalcy bias. What I felt was a kind of defensive mechanism to protect one's own mind when faced with an overly abnormal situation, and I thought it was a strong illusion. I also knew what I had to do at such a time. I had a conflict, but I followed my knowledge. What I had to do was not to listen to the voices echoing in my head, but to ignore them all. First go to the parking lot, then get into my car, start the engine, and then carefully step on the accelerator. The voices in my head kept echoing, but it was also hard to think any further, so I decided to simplify what I could do, and first tried to do as I planned. When the car actually started to move forward slowly, all the voices that had been breaking in my head suddenly stopped. It's rare that knowledge of psychology comes in so handy. Once I got on the road and started driving towards Takayama Hospital, I was completely back to lawyer's thinking. The man who introduced himself as the administrative director of Takayama Hospital said, "We don't have his body here, and I can't tell you where it is," as if it was a matter of course. However, there was no way I would retreat with such an excuse, and naturally, a heated argument ensued. Eventually, I managed to find out the location of the funeral home to which his body had been sent. I immediately headed to the funeral home and, after obtaining permission, was allowed to take photographs of his body. I'm not a medical expert, but even to my untrained eye, it appeared that there were quite a few wounds and bruises here and there. I contacted the local Hakioji police station on the same day, and the following morning, I went there with photographs of his body and some evidence of abuse in the hospital, requesting that his body be autopsied. Surprisingly, the officers at the station took my request seriously, and after various procedures, his body was autopsied. However, the results of the autopsy did not conclusively determine whether there was any criminality involved in his death. That would be expected. For example, if a broken rib had punctured a lung, the cause would be clear. But in his case, having kidney disease, he could be killed by merely being forced to drink a large amount of water. Although the police did not shirk their duties, they still could not grasp definitive evidence, and for the time being, the case was put on hold. From then on, no matter how many obstacles stood in the way, I prioritized moving quickly to rescue every single one of them.
窓は開かないです。
She was suffering from a rare disease called multiple system atrophy, where the muscles throughout the body gradually atrophy. I couldn't understand why she was admitted to Takayama Hospital, a psychiatric institution. Of course, from her medical records, it was clear that no treatment or rehabilitation had been given for her rare disease for over 7 years.
はじめまして、私弁護士の相原と申します。
Aside from her physical illness, she was perfectly healthy. It was clear who the real madmen were in this situation. However, such matters were irrelevant at the moment. I focused solely on the rescue of each
もし読めた
individual.
ら瞬きをしていただけますか。私のお話は聞こえますか。もし聞こえたら瞬きをお願いできますか。はい、ありがとうございます。さんはご存知ですかね、ご友人の。うなずく形でも大丈夫ですので。その時間がすごくかかってしまったんですけれども、鴨木さんがなんとかその弁護士を見つけて、さんが他の病院に移りたい、なんとかしてほしいって言ってるので会いに行ってほしいっていう、そういうご連絡をいただけました。それを受けて今日参りました。もしかしたらその体の方もご不自由になられてるかもしれないと思って、一応イエス・ノーで紙を持ってきました。本当であればね、こちらに視線を移していただいたり、こちらに視線を移していただいたりして、これでお体不自由な方もコミュニケーションを取れるんですけども、竹山病院の方ではそういうものを用意していないだろうから、私の方で簡易的なものを用意しました。ただこれを使いやすいかどうかはまだ分かりませんので、大丈夫ですか。ただ話がいろいろ広がってしまうとコミュニケーション大変かもしれないので、一応今の状況だけお伝えした上で、まずは私の方でちょっと絞ってお話をさせていただきたいと思います。で 一番大事なことから順番にお伺いしといた方がいいかなと思うんですけれども、この滝山病院から出たいというご意思はおありですか？もしあれば瞬きをお願いします。もう一
Her
度よろしいですか？
consciousness
瞬
was
きお願いし
clear,
ます。
and there were no signs suggesting a mental disorder. This was also confirmed from her medical records.
私は次の
Yet,
弁護士を
for
代理
over
人と定
7
め、
years,
下
she
記の
was
事件に関
confined,
する事件を誘
spending
引し
each
ます。
day in loneliness and
で、ここに
despair,
私の名前
just
と
waiting
所
for
得が書いて
death.
あります。
Let me reiterate,
この距離で見えます
this
か？
place is supposedly a hospital,
見えたら瞬きして
officially
ください。
operating with the approval of the
大丈夫ですね。
authorities. I had to search all over Japan, but in a relatively short period, I was able to find a safe and comfortable hospital, and she successfully transferred there. 99% of this achievement was thanks to the people who supported me. The remaining 1% was luck. For about a year and a half, just like her, I managed to discharge clients who reached out to me from Takayama Hospital. Many people still say, even after the incident came to light, that Takayama Hospital is the last place where patients with nowhere else to go gather, so they can't possibly be discharged. However, in reality, this is far from the truth. In the end, out of the 10 clients I represented, excluding the one who unfortunately passed away, all 9 of them have either been discharged or transferred to another facility. 4 of them transferred, while the others are living in their local communities. During that time, I continuously gathered evidence with the help of internal collaborators.
おいってなんだよ。おいってなんだよ。おいって。おい。すみませんだよな。口の利き方上手。いいよ、しろよ。何？なあ。ないな。口の利き方気をつけろよ。なんて言うの？読み書きは？すみませんだよな。写真だ。ご飯だけど、まだいいよ、ご飯の時に起こすから。大丈夫だよ。ご飯まで静かにしてくれ。はい。泣かねえで。はい。近くには黙ってる。はい。うるさいから飯食べるなっつってんだろ。大丈夫っす。うまいっす。食べるなっつってんだろ。黙ってろもん、飯来るまで。誰が喋っていいって言ったの？何？くれ言ってるやつはダメだっつってんだろ。何回言ったらお前覚えるんだよ。毎回言ってんだろ。くれ言ってるうちは何もしねえっつってんだろ。
嫌です。
お前の言うことは聞かねえよ。もっと気持ちからしい男だ、このバカ男。しょんべい一人でやんの。自分のしょんべい、あんたのしょんべいを。
Around the end of 2022, the lawyer visited the Hakioji police station again with this evidence, initiating a formal complaint. Approximately 2.5 months later, on February 15, 2023, a compulsory investigation began. It's likely that the police and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government had been communicating covertly, as on that very day, and on-site inspection by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government also commenced. Subsequently, a media frenzy ignited, with various news agencies vying for coverage. I'd like to touch upon a bit of the background. About 20 years ago, at a psychiatric hospital called Asakura Hospital located in Saitama Prefecture, an abuse scandal similar to this one unfolded. Back then, it also became a significant social issue, leading to a media frenzy that went on for days. In that case, various shocking events were revealed, such as a surgery-obsessed hospital director performing sudden surgeries in ill-equipped rooms, dangerous excessive medical treatments, and fraudulent medical billing. The director lost his license to practice, and Asakura Hospital was eventually shut down. The director of that hospital, Dr. Shigeyoshi Asakura, is now the head of Takayama Hospital. Takayama Hospital is operated by the same Asakura family. He managed to get redesignated as an insured medical practitioner, like a zombie coming back to life, and resumed his practices at Takayama Hospital. Given this backdrop, the public was infuriated, thinking, how on earth did we overlook the exact same thing happening again? The media coverage concerning the Takayama Hospital incident became increasingly intense as a result. Given the circumstances, it's strongly suspected that this might be an unprecedented large-scale abuse case, potentially involving dozens, if not over 100 victims and perpetrators alike. The various illegal activities also seem to bear similarities to the Asakura Hospital incident. When the Takayama Hospital incident began to be reported, both the Minister of Health, Labor and Welfare and the Governor of Tokyo made statements. While neither specifically named Takayama Hospital, they both declared that if any cases of abuse or other inappropriate actions were confirmed, they would deal with them strictly. As previously mentioned, an improvement order was issued by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government subsequently. However, despite all the public uproar, nothing truly changed. Mr. Manabu Yamazaki, the president of the Public Interest Incorporated Association of Japanese Psychiatric Hospitals, to which about 90% of Japan's psychiatric hospitals belong, defended Takayama Hospital through the association's journal. He released a statement strongly condemning the evidence collection by lawyer Aihara and the various interviews conducted by NHK for their ETV feature, accusing them of repeated invasions of privacy like secret filming and eavesdropping. Later, in an interview with the Tokyo Shimbun, when asked about the fact that patients with severe mental disorders might be happiest living their entire lives in psychiatric hospitals, he stated, "It's none of their business." I don't think the UN is such a significant institution, despite receiving multiple criticisms from the UN for such conditions. Moreover, Mr. Junichi Hirakawa, who serves as the vice president of the same association and is also the president of the Tokyo Association of Psychiatric Hospitals, repeatedly criticized lawyer Aihara and NHK in various articles. In both cases, they personally visited Takayama Hospital accompanied by their legal counsel for inspection, and confirmed that there was no illegality in the evidence collection activities of the lawyer and NHK. Of course, the Japan Psychiatric Hospitals Association is one of the most influential lobbying groups in Japan. Mr. Junichi Hirakawa was appointed as the vice chairman of the Abuse Prevention Committee set up by Takayama Hospital in accordance with the improvement order from Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and this appointment was approved by Tokyo as well. Even now, 6 months after the exposure of the Takayama Hospital incident, more than 100 patients, many of whom are believed to be victims, remain stranded in the hospital. The victims of the Nanao Hospital incident have been forgotten to the point where no one even remembers their existence. Initially, the administration took action, albeit reluctantly, but now it is losing interest in the incident day by day. Both the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government are large organizations. The inner feelings of each individual employee working there are unknown. However, as a whole, it seems as if they have decided to place more emphasis on the words of Chairman Yamazaki, who dismisses recommendations from the UN and others as none of their business, than on the voices of the victims. I don't know what to do anymore. I want help. I don't know what's best, but you can send a letter of protest to the Japanese government or Tokyo Metropolitan Government, or even to the United Nations. ETV's feature report Death Discharge is a wonderful documentary, and I highly recommend watching it. However, since there's no English version, it might be meaningful to let NHK know that you'd like them to create an English version. Spreading this video, or even just giving it a thumbs up, can help. I'll post the addresses for Japan and other destinations in the description. Thank you for watching. Japan. A beautiful country.
Forgive me. No. I mean, do not forgive me.